write down. Now, again, pause this if you need to, or come back to it later if you want to watch the whole video through first and then do the exercises. So I've got 2 more charts as well. So now I'm going to show you, we've got characters, and some of these characters might surprise you. The reason why I've gone for the ones that I've gone for is because the idea is that villains can actually sort of come from any background and sort of be anyone. They don't have to sort of start out as this criminal mastermind um, or come from a family of villains. Um, those can be some very fun um, things to do and backstories to have with villains. Um, but actually, quite a lot of villains or bad guys in sort of stories and also in real life um, do come from a variety of different backgrounds. So I have got librarian, doctor, gardener, baker, hairdresser, and shop assistant. And again, you can write these in your boxes in any order. You can also choose your own ones as well. These are just what I've come up with. So once you've done that box as well, then we're going to move on to the box which gives us our setting. So for this one, I have park, cinema, train, museum, hospital, and zoo/animal sanctuary. So you will end up with, oh, let's see if I can get the camera to get them all. 3 of these boxes, and again, you can sketch them out. They don't have to be particularly neat, as long as you can read them, and as long as each box has a number from 1 to 6 in it. And so the idea with what we're doing with those is you're going to roll your dice once each for each box. And so the number it lands on, say I rolled it and I got a number 1 for the character, I would be working with a librarian. And again, these characters, because this is all about villains and bad guys, my librarian is going to be a villain in some way. And again, it doesn't have to be a big way, can just be something small. And you'll do the same thing, roll a die for sort of each one. So for setting, if I rolled a 3 on my chart, she'd be on a train. And for the last one for the scenario, if I rolled a 2, it would be that she would kidnap someone. So again, if you want to give that a little go, pause here and you can sketch out your things, or go back and just write down what I've said to make sure that you've got all of the things that I've said for your charts, or keep watching if you again want to watch it all through and then go back. So how I did this, and let's see if I can find it on my notebook. Where are we? There we go. Right. It's always interesting when I have to look through my notebook. So, how I have done this is I have made a list of what my selections were at the top. So again, I got kidnap someone, the character's going to be a librarian, and they're going to be on a train. And I first just made some bullet points, a little bit about sort of the character, so I gave them a name. In this case, my librarian is called Miss Eliza Marigold. You can make up any name you like. And I sort of gave her a little bit of background. I said she's been a librarian for 5 years. Um, and the train she's on is going to be going to this sort of big library. Her rival is on the train. They're both going to go for this promotion, but only one person can get the promotion. So while they're on the train, she's going to um, do some things to make sure that he sort of doesn't arrive in a good state of mind by the end of the journey. So she's the only one who can get that promotion. And again, this is just what I've come up with. You'll probably have different characters, settings, and scenarios. Take your time and have fun with it. If you're having trouble thinking of um, how to connect these things and you don't quite like the choices that you've ended up with, roll again, see what you get. It'll probably be easier. And again, if you want to, you can use your own characters. So do give yourself a good amount of time for this, at least 20 minutes, if not half an hour, and just write a little story. It can be sort of bullet points of a story, or you can go ahead and write, say, up to 500 words, just a little scenario and have some fun with it. And again, pause if you wish. If not, follow me to the next bit. So now we've had some fun and played with some ideas and explored some things where we sort of been given prompts. Now we're actually going to move on to make our own villains properly. So you can use anything that we've done so far for this. And if you want to use the charts to help you with your character or your setting or scenario, please do so. If you want to make them up, or if you've got a favorite book that inspires you, anything that you like. So we're going to form a basics of our character. And what we're going to think about first is what type of person they are. So I have a little list of sort of basic attributes or traits here. So I've got, is your character going to be someone who's confident? Or are they going to be more anxious or unsure? Are they going to be very vain and think a lot of themselves and think a lot about their appearance? Are they going to be smug? Maybe they think that, they think a lot of themselves and think they're always right all the time. Whether that's true or not can be different. This is about what the character thinks of themselves and about sort of how they are within themselves. So are they intelligent or are they not? Um, and again, do they think they're intelligent when they're really not, or do they think they're unintelligent when actually they are? Are they insecure? Are they quick-tempered? So do they get angry easily? Or are they sort of calm and collected? Or do they seem a bit withdrawn from other people? Or do they like being around people? Do they sort of enjoy talking to everyone they meet and trying to get to know them? Are they inventive? Do they have a lot of ideas? Or do they make things? Are they jealous of other people? Do they want something that, you know, other people have that they feel they might not, or feel like someone's gonna take something from them? And overall, do they seem like a nice person to other people, or do they not? And I will quickly hold this up to you, but it's everything I've just sort of read out, so you can see that there. Um, so once you've answered those questions, and I will show you a little example of what I've done. Again, time to root through my notebook. So, for what I've chosen for this, I've just listed the few attributes that I decided to go with for my villain. I've got my villain will be anxious. They get their heebie-jeebies a lot, so they're spooked quite easily. They make a lot of plans, but back out of them quite a lot because they're sort of a bit nervous and unsure. And they have a bit of money, but not much. So my character can't go off and make huge, enormous machines or anything like that because they don't have the budget for that. They have to work on a smaller scale. So once we've got our basic attributes, then we can start to build up a bit of the backstory of our villains. And it's actually backstory that really makes a villain. Um, People really want to sort of know why villains do what they do and where they come from, how did they get to be a villain. Um, and some of the best villains are the ones with the most interesting or most relatable backstories. Um, you can almost understand why they do what they do. Almost. If they're sort of too relatable, you might be thinking, maybe I'll give it a go. We don't want that. Um, don't want to be making any actual villains from this, fictional ones only, please. Um, so, one of the other things that I asked myself during this was, does my villain have any hobbies? Um, and I did decide to give my villain a hobby. I made them a bird watcher, and I just put down my notes, and they connect with sort of the flightiness of birds. Um, because the thing with birds is they're always aware of predators, so even when they're eating or drinking, they're always sort of looking around every few seconds. And my villain is an anxious character, so he sort of does the same sort of thing. He's always wondering what other people are thinking of him, wondering if he's doing or saying the right thing. Um, and I've also put down that he's afraid of birds of prey. Obviously, birds of prey are sort of the alphas. They're quite forceful. They'll go after weaker species and things like that, and often very intelligent. Um, and that sort of reflects my villain's life in that he's sort of the underdog as such. Um, he feels like everyone else is sort of above him socially and things like that. So, if you are making your own notes at this, as I said, pause and you can come up with a hobby for your villain if you want one. But if not, after I did the hobbies, I then thought about, well, what's the villain's family like? Do they have a family? Um, Brothers, sisters, mums, dads, aunts, uncles, and do they have friends? And not just do they have them, but how do they treat those people? And also, how do those people treat them? So, for my villain, I've put down he's got an older sister, but she thinks he's completely rubbish at what he does. Um, Again, you probably have something completely different from me. Whatever you like will work for this. Again, this is your character. So whatever works for you and whatever you feel is fun or interesting, um, go with that. Um, it's very important not to try and sort of copy someone else's ideas because that actually makes being creative a lot harder. Um, so again, the next thing I thought about is what job my villain did when he's not being a villain. or sort of before he was being a villain. Now I'm using the word he here because my villain is a man, but it could be a woman, it could be someone who's non-binary, whatever you fancy on this one. Um, so I decided that my villain was going to be a teacher, and considering everything else that I've written about him, sort of being nervous, being looked down upon by his older sister, um, and having a little bit of money but not much, that also fed into the sort of traits he has as a teacher. So I've got the students don't pay much attention to him, and he doesn't have much authority over them. Um, and he tries to do his best, but deep down, he knows that it's not having much effect, and his students don't really care what he's talking about in his lessons, and also his fellow teachers don't think very highly of him because he sort of doesn't have this authority at all. Again, so that's what I've got. Now, once you've compiled all of that, we can sort of go into what your villain wants and also why do they want it. So these are the key things. In fact, the why is often sort of more important than what they want because the why is the driving force behind their whole narrative as a villain. Um, so again, I'll give you an example of my character. Um, and I had a lot of fun doing this, and it's quite silly. But again, the point of this is that you can write whatever you like. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be silly, or if you want to do a serious one, you can do. Um, whatever takes your fancy. This is the sort of joy of creative writing. So I have that my character wants to kidnap the other teachers, particularly the ones that he feels intimidated by, and he wants to take control of the school himself. And sort of this will help him prove that he's not to be messed with, that, he sort of is capable. This is probably not what these other teachers were thinking about when thinking of how he could be capable, but this is what he's come up with to sort of assert his authority over them. And so the why does he want to kidnap his fellow teachers and take over the school? Because he wants to be respected. And that is the main thing that sort of drives his character, his narrative. He just wants respect and wants to stop other people sort of thinking he's rubbish at his job, and thinking that he's not capable of anything um, other than what he is at the minute. And he wants to show that he can take charge and be powerful and be important. Um, because he's tired, he's fed up with being ignored all the time by everyone. So once you've got some ideas down for all of those questions, and you will notice that in building our character, all we've sort of done is ask questions about our characters um, to give us the answers to help us build them up, to find out who they are, what they want, and sort of what's going to happen in our stories with them. Once you've done that, now we can actually write our stories about our characters. Um, so this will be a sort of bigger piece of writing. And also, I forgot to mention, but for all of these things, you can also draw this as well if you're actually more into comics or you want to make comics and draw comics. you can also do this in a comic form. Give yourself, I don't know, perhaps 5 to 8 panels to sort of sketch out your story, and you can do it that way. And or if you just wanted to draw your villain um, as you're coming up with concepts and sort of write your notes around them, you can do that as well. Whatever works for you. Um, I prefer to write my things by hand. I do sketch and I do like art, but I do prefer for this sort of creative things to just write my stuff down. Um, yeah, so this um, part of the workshop is completely yours now. Take everything that we've gone through so far, our villain, to help you craft your narrative with them and just have fun writing or drawing their story. Um, so I'll leave it up to you for this. Thank you very much for joining me for this. I hope it has made some sort of sense as well. Um, and just have fun with your stories. Thank you very much. Bye.